And here go our four runners. They're diving right into Corneria right off the bat to go ahead and take a look at those spells. And it looks like we have Lightning 2 and Fire 2 right off the bat. So that's a really nice thing to see.
That's going to help them out early so they can get a little bit of extra gold. That way they make sure that they're not in too much damage. Also seeing Harm 2 there helps them if they do have to go to the Marsh Cave.
Yep, that Harm 2 spell will be useful taking out those groups of undeads right at the beginning. Now you see the ceremonial look at the first attack. And looks like we got some people that are looking like they're starting to reset already. Quite interesting. So we're going to take a peek at X Ice Blue's group here when he gets in. We're going to have to take another look at that real quick.
Look at that cheap heal spell, so that potion. Sorry, so they can make sure that they're never without them. That's interesting by Zar's choice right there, going with Bane.
And Gentleman Joey's going in. He's driving now for the Temple of Fiends to start. 3 chests in the Temple of Fiends besides Garland. And those 3 chests will be on the left-hand side. Those are the ones that are not locked by the Mystic Key. So they're going to be looking for anything to... really, they'll be looking for the TNT, or they'll be looking for anything to go ahead and pick up that might be a multi-use weapon, or something that gives a multi-attack magic spell.
Also hoping for a weapon upgrade. I don't remember seeing any of them pick up a weapon for either the fighter or the red mage.
Shofu rolling back into town now that he's taken care of some enemies, and he's going to pick up some heal and soft potions to start. I don't see anything on the imps or any of the other enemies so far that would cause too much concern. And now we're going into the Temple of Fiends with Zar for the first time.
Got a lot of gold right there.
Yep, 13,000 gold will probably be enough for him to stick around in here and not reset back out.
And right now we see Sarah's going with the Harm 2. Makes quick work of those bones.
Gentleman Joey's having a little bit of issues here in the Temple of Fiends. His fighter has already fallen. His black belt has 1 hit point. This is going to make his Garland attempt here a bit of a struggle. He's got to be hopeful that Garland doesn't have any sort of an awful attack spell on him. And with everything shuffled, that could be a possibility.
Spiders with ice too, coming in hot.
Oh, lovely.
And we see another reset by Zar. The other thing everyone will notice is that they're going to be trying to get as many tents, cabins, and houses to make sure that they can save as much as possible and do resets with this randomizer.
So Spiders with Ice 2 is not only going to be frightening here at the Temple of Fiends, but it's going to make Marsh Cave a real challenge. Spiders are there everywhere in Marsh Cave. Looks like all of our runners are still attempting to just get at those 3 chests and find out what's inside. And the minute that anybody does, they're just getting wiped by spiders.
Looks like we got a friendly seed when it comes to gold, and spiders with trance and trying to paralyze everyone.
Lovely. So if anyone has arachnophobia, just go ahead and avert your eyes at this point, and we'll let you know when everybody has gotten through. Oh, spiders also know blizzard. Okay, so this sometimes happens in Randomizer. Welcome to a round 4 Randomizer, everyone.
What I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, is Maya, if they start to level to hopefully get around what those spiders can do.
Yup, and I'm already seeing Sho do that. Sho looks like he's trying to stick around outside of the Temple of Fiends to gain some levels, and then he's going to go back in and run for it. Zar's just sprinting for Garland himself.
With the leveling that they'll do later, you can either always come back and get the gold there, or just kind of wing it and hope for as much gold as possible when you're doing your power leveling later.
And Zar takes something of a lead. His Garland has fallen, and now he just needs to get to Sarah and get the heck out of this Temple of Fiends and hopefully not come back. And there's our first loot pickup by Zar from the princess.
There have been many of runners, I imagine, who have forgotten to do that.
It's something of a randomizer rite of passage. You're so excited that you just kind of run right past her.
That, or have you ever been in Ordeals and you forget to get the tail on normal?
I actually have done that, and I've done it relatively recently. Ordeals was incentivized, and I just totally forgot to check the last chest. Okay, here goes Ice Blue. He's going to go ahead and try to take Garland down as well. Gentleman Joey is done playing with his spiders, and he's going to go ahead and take out Garland. Ice Blue has taken down Garland. That's our second mini-boss that's done while Zar makes it to the bridge, and we watch the scrolling text go by.
I was going to say, you can see the first round of credits. Congratulations, Zar. You win. This part.
Yeah, he wins more randomizer.
And is he gonna forego to go north, or is he gonna go straight to get the boat right now?
Well, let's go ahead and watch and see what Zar does here. A popular randomizer strategy here is to go ahead and drop a tent or a cabin right at the fork in the road. And if Matoya doesn't have anything interesting, you just go ahead and you warp right back out to where your tent or your cabin was, and you continue on your way. It looks like he had to reset back out of that. One of those enemies up there in the northern Matoya area has paralyzed, and it looks like everybody got stun locked.
And it looks like he's going east.
So, chat, with all of this fun and excitement so far, where do you think the TNT is hiding?
I don't know about you, but I'm not going to make a commentator curse.
I'm really hoping it's not the wizard chest down in our Marsh cave at this point. Ice Blue, seeing his credits roll by. And Zar has opened up a bit of a lead here, finally entering into Provoca, and we're going to get a chance to look at those level 2 spells now.
Cure 4.
And I see Cure 4 at a level 2. That's going to be such a godsend for these runners here, especially with the way that the randomizer is rolled up so far.
And with Invis increasing your evade, that's also going to be helpful. Ice 3 coming in hot over there too.
Also Warp, and Warp is really a hidden gem here. Warp is going to be able to help these runners back out of these dungeons if they really need the assistance. And we're going to get our first look at what the pirates have in store for us today. Hopefully no huge attack spells.
Not even taking a chance, Cyrus. He's just going straight with Ice 3.
I gotta tell you, I like the name that he picked for his red mage. It makes me happy. Something about him. He just looks really handsome.
Do I sense a little bit of favoritism to the red mage?
No, certainly not. I equally think all 4 runners are going to do well. Looks like the pirates, at least from what Czar showed us, aren't going to give our runners too much trouble. Give them a little bit of a breather after this start.
And I'm only kidding about the favoritism. My favorite character growing up was always the thief and ninja. Little did I know.
I got to tell you, Thief and Randomizer unfortunately has gotten a pretty bad rap. He can run, and that's really about it. Other than that, usually if you see a Thief in someone's party, it's because they're going to be dead and they're going to run with 3 characters instead. Congratulations to Shofukamachi, who finally took down Garland himself with those extra levels, and so he's going to be making his sprint over to provoke us shortly.
That should help them when they go to do their leveling either at the volcano or in ice, but kind of hurts them right now with being behind a little bit. This is, again, the randomizer, so you can get stuck at any point, so best luck to Show as well.
And all, if you like what you're seeing so far and you want to join us, I'm just dropped the invite to our Discord for this community into the chat room. You're more than welcome to go ahead and join us. We run randomizers of all skill levels, all hours of the day and night. And we would be more than happy to get you set up with this randomizer, answer any questions that you might have, and take care of that for you.
Definitely, as someone who is slightly newer to that Discord server, everyone is very welcoming and friendly, always happy to help, and never kind of chuckles at you when you make silly questions. Like myself.
So Czar's going to give us a look at what's going on in the Dwarf Cave today, and it looks like anybody who called TNT at the Dwarf Cave, please proceed to the prize table to pick up your winnings.
He's giving the dwarf the firecrackers, and he's going to go have his fun.
And he's going to go ahead and hand the TNT to the friendly dwarf, and the dwarf is going to go blow something up. And we officially may not need to see the dreaded Marsh Cave this evening. Needless to say, we won't see anybody warping out or save quitting out of Dwarf Cave now with the TNT hiding in there. Probably we'll see Czar and maybe some of the other runners do go down and take a peek in Elfland because they want to go pick up those level 3 and 4 magic spells.
And once they turn into TNT, you have 3 different ways you can go. You can go to ice, you can go to the volcano, or go to Earth. It's going to be interesting to see if any of these 3, which ones these 4 do.
Neomek, I see your question in chat there, whether the 4 of them are using the same seed. Yes, they are. This is the same seed for all of them. And so everything that you see in one chest will be in all of the other chests as well.
We got Life 2 down there.
Life 2 is such a huge pickup. Did you happen to see in which of the order it was in there? Was it first, second, third, or fourth on the list?
It was 3rd on the first White Mage side, so I think it was level 3.
Okay, so that's a level 3 spell, and if it's in the 3rd position, Gentleman Joey's red mages are going to be able to learn that spell. Joey took a big risk running 2 red mages tonight because they do have gaps in those spells that they can learn. If Life 2 would have fallen in a different position, his mages may not have been able to learn that. So lucky break for him there.
Ice almost left the cave without turning in the firecrackers.
Czar, having completed his shopping trip to Elfland, is going to go ahead and go over to Melmon next. Probably will be a pretty quick stop here. just to take a peek at what's for sale. And then he'll be moving on over to Crescent Lake to grab that canoe. I saw a glance at the fast spell there in Melmon. That'll be a huge pickup for later. So now that we're sailing around a little bit, this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit about one of the major routing changes for this randomizer. And we have an early canoe enabled for this round tonight. An early canoe allows a runner like Czar is doing right now to go ahead and pick up his canoe at Crescent Lake before he defeats Lich in the Earth Cave. If you remember from the original Final Fantasy, you need to go into the Earth Cave, defeat Lich before you go over to the Circle of Sages at Crescent Lake and grab that canoe. We've removed that restriction from Randomizer, so this really opens up the different opportunities and different places that that our runners can go.
It looks like Sho got petrified by some of the creatures on the ocean. I missed who it was. If chat can help me out there.
So the next stop after finding the TNT, the next major progression item that our runners are looking for are one of two. They're looking for the floater, and the floater opens the game up to the northern continent. And that floater, of course, can be hiding anywhere in one of these chests. The other lesser progression item that they might be looking for at this point that they need to consider is the ruby. The ruby, of course, for you Final Fantasy veterans, you know that you feed the ruby to the Titan so that you can go into Sage Sarda's cave and pick up the rod so that you can get to the bottom of the Earth Cave. So Czar is going to go ahead and do his shopping here as our pace leader in Crescent Lake, and then he's probably going to one of these dungeons, and the floater or that ruby is going to be his target.
And the nice thing is, if he does choose to go to Ice or Ordeals right off the bat, those are going to be incentivized, so it is going to have one of those, we'll say it, more sought-after items.
Yep, those more sought-after items in either Ice Cave or Castle Ordeals this evening is because we have set them in this randomizer to be incentivized. Those items that could be there are any of the progression items, so a slab, a ruby, a floater, or other items that we would consider valuable. So the tail might be there, the adamant might be there. Yep, the adamant might be there, as well as some of the higher level weapons and armor as well. So an opal bracelet could be hiding in one of those chests as well.
And also the crown. Now, that would be a very trolly if the crown was there, because if it was dug deep into one of those two, it could lead to, say, possibly some of the other further progression items blocked in Marsh, which would, hoping that doesn't happen.
So the crown is required to beat any randomizer seed in Final Fantasy, and this is a little known fact that there is a door in Temple of Fiends Revisited down by the Phantom that is actually locked by the Mystic Key. It's also locked by the Mystic Key in vanilla Final Fantasy in the base game, but no one ever knows about it because everybody always has the key at that point. And so finding the crown in Randomizer is required, and it's going to be one of those items that our runners are looking for. Czar's electing to level up here on some Peds outside of Crescent Lake, and that's probably a really smart choice. Peds give a good deal of experience, and it looks like in the randomizer roll tonight they're pretty standard. I haven't seen them throw up anything horrifying to our runners. Sure, Zalian, I'd be happy to do that. So Zalian271 in chat asked what the items in the item tracker are, and I'll go through them in order, left to right, top to bottom. So across the top are the 4 orbs, earth, wind, fire, and water. And then below that are the loot. Next to that is the TNT, which should be lit for all 4 players at this point. After that, we have the crown. After that is the bottle, and the bottle will contain the fairy, and then once you go ahead and you let the fairy out, she will give you the oxy ale, and that's encapsulated in that 4th one. On the 3rd row, we have the slab on the lower left. Next to that, the little star-looking one is the ruby. Next to that, the other diamond-shaped is the floater. Next to that is the tail. And then on the bottom, we have 2 items. We have the adamant and then the cube, and the cube gives access to Sky Castle. And everybody, if you can give a big shout out and thank you to Fiesel this evening, who's simultaneously running the tracker for 4 people. If you could give him some love, that'd be great. So Ice Blue has joined Czar in Crescent Lake, and he's going to go ahead and take a look at what the shops have on order.
And we got the route diversion. Czar is going to ice.
Jiggly Saint, you're asking about the chime. Once you go ahead and you get the slab and get that translated to Dr. Un, the slab will change into the chime on the tracker. So this will be really interesting. With Czar going into Ice Cave, we're going to watch to see now what the other 3 runners do and whether or not they match him or whether they go to a different dungeon. With this route divergence, this is really one of the main opportunities that a runner has to either gain or lose time, and they have to make that decision. Ice Cave has 16 chests in it. And we know that one of them is an incentive chest, and we give it an incentive so that a runner wants to go and take a look at it. He's balancing that against Gurgu Volcano, which is a fiend dungeon, also reachable to him at this point, but that has 30 chests in it. And so Czar is taking a little bit of a gamble that he's going to find something good in Ice Cave that will allow him to continue.
And that is typical because I think I've seen him do that before. I do know Joey has said he typically will be going to Volcano, so I'm expecting that.
Iron Range, to answer your question, are there items that aren't required? Yes. So some of the items that aren't required in the game but are nice to have is the adamant. And of course, you trade the adamant in order to get the sword Excalibur. That's not necessary to complete the game, but it might be something that they're looking for. The ruby could or could not be required depending on how the items sift out. And if the ruby is hiding behind... or if the floater is hiding behind where the rod needs to be, then you need to find the ruby in order to pick that up. It does look like Shofukamachi's making up his time. He's going to be leaving Melmond shortly and sailing west over to Crescent Lake. I would say with Czar entering into Ice Cave now, I would say all 4 of our runners are probably within 5 to 7 minutes of each other.
And you see the fighter gone down on X Ice. Thankfully, I believe he has the Life 2 spell over there to bring him back.
This is also our first glance at what the enemies in the Ice Cave have spun up for them this evening.
And we have a route divergence already. Joey is going to the volcano. Now, everyone is going to be seeing something happen on Joey's screen as he's going over the lava. For those who are still relatively new to the game, that's going to cause 1 hit point loss for every step that they do. Now, they're going to weigh between walking continuously over that and not, to kind of avoiding some encounters. So every time you take a step in this game, it increases your the random number generator to make you more likely to have an encounter, to where when you're walking over, say that in the volcano or that in the ice cave, it's not going to increase you.
And I saw that Czar found his ruby deep in the ice cave in that incentive chest. This presents a conundrum for Czar. If the ruby has been found now, the game may be prompting the runners to trade that ruby in at the Titan and go get the rod to go ahead and clear out Earth Cave now. However, it could be a red herring, so to speak, and the ruby just might have ended up there just by accident. That's sort of the danger of the ruby. This is kind of a big decision for Czar. We'll see which direction he goes now.
Just a little fun fact, I think 6 of the last races some of these guys have been playing in practice leading up, the floater has been in Earth Cave each of those 6 times. So they might be playing with the numbers there, thinking, hey, it's going to go.
And hello to I'm hella bored in the chat. I hope you're not bored anymore, because a run of Final Fantasy Randomizer, depending on the seed, will take you between 1.5 to 2.5 hours, depending on how things sort of shake out. And Czar is sailing away from Ice Cave, and let's see where he's going.
X-Ice just got the opal bracelet in the volcano.
And the opal bracelet is one of those wonderful pieces of armor that everybody looks for. It's probably one of the better ones in the game, with the defensive rating of 34 and almost no hit to your evasion at all. It can be equipped by all classes. It's going to be one of those end game pieces of armor that these runners have been looking for.
And you're going to see X-Ice just picking up the Zeus Gauntlet. What that Zeus Gauntlet does, and why he moved it to the White Mage, is it's going to allow him to cast Lightning 2, which causes in between 30 and 120 damage to its enemies.
Gentleman Joey has joined X-Ice Blue in Gurgu Volcano at this point. So we have 2 people in the volcano. Czar sitting on a ruby, and Sho has not sort of shown his hand yet at which direction he wants to go. And oh boy, it looks like the Scorpions might have something awful like crack this evening, which means that if these runners need to fly back into Marsh Cave at some point, they're going to have a poor time. Scorpions are also prevalent in Earth Cave, and so crack is an elemental earth spell that causes instant death, and there's not a whole lot out there that can protect against it.
And we have Czar going to join Gentleman Joey and X-Ice in the volcano, it looks like.
So again, for those of you just joining us, welcome to our 3rd showcase race of the Final Fantasy Randomizer. And in anticipation of our tournament that starts over the weekend, signups for that tournament will end tonight, but we are welcoming anybody and everybody that wants to join the community, even if you're not interested in entering the tournament. We are a fast-growing community that runs races daily of all different skill levels and in all different sort of permutations, and we're most happy to have you with us.
And East to West Coast, I know typically we have a 8 p.m. Eastern, as well as a 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern, or 5 and 8 Pacific.
And I know it's a global tournament. We have people that have entered from Central Europe. We have somebody in the Philippines racing with us this evening, as well as other people in the tournament from around the world.
Hello board, I can tell you it is relatively easy. It takes about 5 minutes to learn, lifetime to master. I am still relatively a newbie, we'll say, to this. But if you've played it once or twice before, if you've played it in the past, either as a child growing up or just came across it, it doesn't take too long.
Ice Blue playing with those cracked scorpions now. I don't know if he knows that those enemies have that spell this evening. Oh, he knows now.
You'll also see the runners avoiding certain tiles, picking up on the side of chests, walking around chests, maybe potentially taking a longer way around. That's because with this game, there are force encounter tiles. Looks like also Sho just got into the fight with some Kaizakus that know how to turn the stone.
So in this version of the randomizer we are running this evening, our enemy stats are anywhere between 33 to 300% of normal. The experience and gold boost for each enemy encounter that you successfully win gives you 4 times the regular experience plus 400 gold for each enemy that you kill. And that allows our runners to go ahead and level up much faster than normal. And it only seems fair seeing as how these enemies are so awful this evening.
And Sho going into Ordeals. This is going to be fun to watch and see what these chests have to pay off.
So we know that one of these chests inside Ordeals is an incentivized chest, which means that it will have some sort of a nice item in there. It'll be, of course, at the end of the dungeon. It's the last chest next to the throne. So he's got to make his way there. But from our vantage point, Sho might actually be making a really smart choice here. Gugu Volcano is just full of awful enemies at this point that are killing people right and left. And Sho is taking a different approach here.
And it looks like Joey is getting into a bad fight with the Aghanim. Sorry. To all you new runners out there that are looking at this going, oh no, is this going to... Don't worry, this isn't the first round. This is a much more along the tournament for progression. The first round, the flag's going to be a lot different. Enemies won't be, nearly as strong potentially, but as well as it won't be such a, we'll say, masochist mode.
So the rule set that our runners are using this evening are from the 4th round of the upcoming tournament. And so there will be 3 more introductory rounds where the game is not randomized so brutally. And then once we get into the 4th and later rounds, this will be more representative of some of the more expert modes that we would be doing.
And it does look like Ordeals has shuffled pillars. Now, typically those pillars, for any run that it's not shuffled in, you just go to the one that's furthest down, and it brings you easy peasy to the end.
Because why would we want to make anything easy on our runners tonight? Of course we're going to shuffle the pillars in Ordeals and make them go through it 20 times before they get to the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn. Ordeals will be fun.
I'm just sort of sitting back here and watching the carnage. I think this is Poor Show's 7th attempt now on the Ordeals pillar shuffle.
It is looking that way. I think he went to the same one a couple times in a row recently. You can tell that it's going to be a fun Ordeals. It's very interesting when they shuffle these. I myself would be probably going through 23 times. I don't know about you, Maya.
Yeah, at some point you got to start writing down which ones you've touched and which ones you haven't. There he goes. Okay, so he's through the pillar maze, and now he's going to get those 9 chests as his reward.
It looks like the nightmare is not being too fun right now.
Little Gremlin, I saw your comment in chat there asking about an add-on that helps viewers know each dungeon percentage of chests opened. Well, I can't do that for you. 2 of our community members, Edgeworth and Files, made an absolutely awesome sort of a compilation of things to know for Final Fantasy Randomizer. And in there shows the chest locations. And it'll tell you the number of chests in each dungeon, how many of those are locked by the Mystic Key, and so on and so forth. I find it completely invaluable when I'm running through Randomizer, and so I hope you find it useful too.
And Show just paid off with a ribbon.
So a ribbon's a really nice pickup. A ribbon protects against all elements in the game, and that includes there are 8 different elements: your fire, your ice, your lightning, but then there are also time and earth. Let's see.
Going in with the tail. Now what that's going to do is that's going to help his white and black mages when they become wizards. If there's a good spell coming in later, it'll allow them to learn it.
And we're still not to his incentive chest yet, so let's see what we've got. Oh, yes, it was.
And it appears that the randomizer was nice to them with the zombie dragon going down in one shot from Fire 3.
Chat correctly noticing that the tail was in its vanilla location. And so now we'll, of course, Show can't trade in that tail yet because they have no floater, so he can't get to the Dragon King Bahamut quite yet.
So at this point, Maya, you're running this race. You see tail and vanilla. You have the ruby. Do you go to the volcano, try to clear off the lower areas of it, or do you just run straight to Earth Cave?
You know, that's an excellent question. From what we know ourselves, I would probably go to Earth Cave if I was Czar, especially with the brutal way that the volcano is treating me right now. I would probably duck out of volcano and go see what Earth Cave has. But Czar doesn't know where the tail is, and Show doesn't know where the ruby is, and so we have more information than either of the runners do at this point. But I gotta say, this volcano is one of the rougher ones we've seen so far. It looks like Ice Blue is finally nearing the bottom of it.
And he's fighting the red dragon. Let's see how this goes. Typically one of the harder enemies in this dungeon. Looks like his defense is increased a lot. And taken down with just a little bit over 200 hit points. So that is a nice give me over there too. You might see him try to run back and forth and do a little bit of leveling there potentially. All for a silver dagger.
And it does look like Ice Blue is going to go ahead and grind on this red dragon a little bit. It looks like the red dragon didn't spin up with any any skills or spells that are too frightening so far. And so it looks like Ice Blue is just going to sit tight for a little bit, bring his levels up to a point where he feels more comfortable taking on Carry the Fire Fiend here.
And the nice thing about leveling up your guys, if you get the black belt up high enough at certain earlier points, he can start to just one-hit the big bosses, which is really nice.
Yep, that black belt is probably the one character in the game that is a little broken, but it's broken in the player's character, in the player's favor, and that's really all you need to see. You get a black belt up to level 40, 41, 42. It's you watch those black belts just wail on other people. Gentleman Joey is deciding to go ahead and do his grinding right by the entrance to Gurgu Volcano, a much safer strategy. He's able to keep all 4 of his party members alive and duck right back out and save if he needs to.
Yes, Taflon, you are correct. Black belt non-randomizer speed runs, it's kind of, you don't see it often. Typically, depending what you're doing for the speed run, if you're going for world record strats, that's a fight, 2 fighters, black mage with a third party that's on the ground, and then typically you might see 2 fighters, 2 red mages in standard, speed runs. I believe our man Fiesel was the one who came up with the 2 fighters black mage for the world record.
So now Shofukamachi's doing his dive into Ice Cave next. He's going to the second of those incentivized dungeons. Of course, we know he's going to find the ruby in that incentivized chest, and we will see whether or not he go ahead and follows where it leads, or whether or not he's going to dive out after retrieving it. Ice Blue's got to be ruining his luck here a little bit. He found an enemy he can finally grind on, the Red Dragon, which gives a great amount of experience per kill. And here his poor White Mage is dead. And the White Mage is not gaining all of this experience and spell charges like the other 3 party members. That's just brutal.
And we did see Sar just use a warp when he went down one of the... to drop down to the lower level, the ice cave, that actually cut out about 13 chests. So let's see if Sho does the same strats or if he goes for those 13 chests.
Yep, as Sho nears the area of the ice cave with the floater, or I'm sorry, with the chest that normally contains the floater that's guarded by the eye, there's a strategy that you can use to drop down a hole and then warp immediately right back up. Within reach of all 3 of those chests. Let's see if he uses that strategy or not.
And to follow up with what Taflon said, yes, Fiesel and Gyre's AGDQ run was definitely informational. I would definitely say if you want to, video on demand some of their runs, Fiesel was the previous world record holder and Gyre is the current world record holder. They are always great for informational. You'll find not only just basic strategies to advanced strategies when you're watching them, also kind of go over what's runnable, what's unrunnable. Definitely a great resource for newer runners as well.
And here goes Sho now. Let's see if he drops down the hole. Yes, he does. And he's going to use that warp spell and comes right back up. Let's see if he sticks around. Looks like he's opting to clear out the dungeon. Let's hope he gets out with that ruby safely. Czar has also found the red dragon to be to his liking and is going to stick around and do a little leveling here. Felfon, to answer your question, the first round of the tournament will have the original game's RNG tables. And so, yes, if you know your step counting, you can put that to your advantage in the first round of the tournament here.
Let's see what the mage has. These are typically very, very difficult ones to fight, knowing rub in vanilla or when everything's not changed. So let's see if they do know rub, which would be an instant death spell. Well, it doesn't appear that they do. They do hit like a truck.
Show's made his way through that encounter. He's going to check these 6 chests down here.
And you'll see another one of those forced encounters at the end of what Show does. It's going to be a bunch of...
oh no, there's a
Frostwolves.
slab pickup for Sho Fukamachi. Sho just found the slab down in the lower left-hand corner of Ice Cave. This is going to be a terrible troll for the other racers. They're going to need to clear out that entire dungeon to find that progression item. Sho has opened up a significant lead at this point.
Also not to be looked over is the Sun Sword that he just got. That's going to be very helpful. It's one of the better swords until you reach Clash Change. So that red mage that he has will start to hit a lot harder.
That's an especially cruel turn of fate for Czar up in the upper left-hand corner, who has already been to Ice Cave once, found the ruby, wiped, and then sailed away, and does not know that the slab is there.
Oh, and with the best weapon in the game no longer having to wait, he has the Masamune.
So the Masamune will probably go to the red mage for Sho, which is an incredible pickup. Turns his mage into a fighter, and I would dare to say at this point that Sho is opening up quite an advantage on these other 3 racers. He's going to go into Gurgu Volcano loaded with the Masamune when the other 3 did not, and that may make all the difference here.
The Masamune does not need the class change. It can be used anywhere from a black mage all the way up to the fighter by any pre-class and after-class.
Looks like Ice Blue is having a little bit of technical difficulty. We're going to see if he can bring his stream back up, but the race continues for the other 3 in the meantime.
And we're seeing Sho going to do a little bit more leveling. Going to be fighting the Eye now that the red mage has the Masamune. And we might see him here for a little bit because it looks like it's going to be a easier case for them. Yep, he's moving the mages to the front to hopefully, kill them off. That way the red mage and the black belt will be able to get most of the experience.
Yep, this is a pretty standard grinding strategy that Sho's showing us here. Really, the 3 main places that you'll see people grind is the Agama in the Gurgu Volcano, sometimes the Red Dragon, like Czar and Ice Blue are doing, and then the Eye is another popular place to get a little grinding for levels done, especially for that black belt, trying to get that black belt's levels up so he can start hitting for multipliers. Another place that you might see people grind a little bit less often than the others is the Blue Dragon. up in Mirage Tower, but I would say that's 1/10 as likely as the Agamas are.
In chat, you'll notice it happened very fast with the black belt going from doing moderate damage to just being being one of the more powerful ones, because it just has that escalator, we'll say, with it. And we're seeing Joey go to the Aghanim run, or level grind.
So this is one of those moments in every randomizer run where everybody's grinding, and there's not a whole lot of new ground being covered. So if anybody has any questions in chat that we can answer, go ahead and pose those. We'd be happy to help you out. This is another one of those opportunities to go ahead and tell you to give our runners some love. Go ahead and give them a follow on their Twitch channels. I know that these 4 runners run Final Fantasy Randomizer weekly, if not daily, and they'd be happy for the support. So having killed off his black mage and his white mage temporarily, Sho has his black belt and his red mage up. Looks like he's getting a good amount of experience on those. Let me take a look at the total here. So 6650 experience for 2 characters is outstanding. Meanwhile, Zar just above him is getting 3004 experience per red dragon being killed. This is a race that Sho is winning right now. So Trenton, what we've seen so far is that Masamune and the Ruby and the Slab are all in Ice Cave. And we have a tail and a ribbon in Ordeals. And I believe, chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we found a second ribbon in the Ice Cave as well. And here's our first look at Carrie, thanks to Gentleman Joey. It looks like Carrie's defense has been souped up here. Those fighters are barely making a dent. This is going to be a heck of a fight for Gentleman Joey if he can't get some critical hits on Carrie.
He is really only up to about 150 damage done on Carrie, so he's hoping for a low roll on health.
And here goes Sar now, also trying to take Carrie down.
Leading off with Invis to increase their evade, which will be very interesting to hopefully make sure that if Carrie does hit very hard, that they get rid of a decent amount of it.
Ink for Carrie is not going to be very effective. That's going to be a skill that people are going to be happy to see. Zar's very, very wisely using his temper spell, and you can see that it's starting to make results. Temper has been fixed in the randomizer, as well as Saber, and you can see Zar's red mage casting that now on the black belt, and watch the results. But oh no, Carrie knows Blaze.
And Carrie's down.
So there goes the Fiend fallen for Zar. And I didn't catch in the lower right-hand corner. Did Gentleman Joey finish off Carrie, or did he collapse?
I did not catch that either. I was with watching Tsar, but judging by the amount of damage that he put to Carrie around the same time that Tsar was, I would guess to say he did too.
Okay, so then we have a lit orb for Tsar and a lit orb for Gentleman Joey. And having the first fiend fall now, we're going to really have to watch where Tsar and Joey go next. Tsar has already been to Ice Cave once. He knows that the ruby is there, but he does not know that the slab and the Masamune are there. So it's a question of, will he go back?
And while Sho is down by 1 orb, he is ahead by, I would say, some levels because his guys are already at 26. That would be the red mage in the black belt. And looks like he said he's had enough and he's on his way out. So that is one of the conveniences, Daycheck. It is a sped up speed button that you can use, so you're not walking at the, we'll say, slower pace of the initial Final Fantasy. It looks like I was wrong about Sho. I thought he dropped down. And with the speed increase, that is just one of the conveniences that have increased. If you noticed, when Sho was leveling, the white mage and black mage didn't automatically take the place when he flipped them. So what they did is that allows you, if you get someone who's poisoned, put in stone, that they're not going to automatically go to the back, causing you a lot of menu time. So keep them in the same spot.
Magus, your question about how jobs are changed in the randomizer. The jobs in the job classes remain the same as in original Final Fantasy. You're correct, though, that the tail is not necessarily in Ordeals anymore. The tails have been shuffled with all of the other chests in the game, and so you have to go find that tail and trade it into Bahamut.
And Asriel, I would say by level standards, yes, where Sho is at about 28, and last check Joey was at 15, and I haven't got a good check on Sar, but I would say he does stand a easier chance of being able to, we'll say, one-shot enemies as we go along.
And here's that lovely Castle Ordeal sound as you go from one pillar to the next. I hope you like that musical note, everyone.
So El Mecha, yes, what you have is in order from left to right for the items. You have loot, the TNT, the crown, and the bottle. And then on the second row, you will have the slab, the floater, and I'm drawing a blank on that middle one. Oh, ruby is the second one, floater is, I believe, the third one, and then tail. And we see Joey and Sar in Ordeals right now.
That's correct. Meanwhile, Sho is going to go ahead and do the reverse of what everyone else did, and he's going to go ahead and clear out his volcano now. And I've got to tell you, from all of these places that we've been, we have still not seen a floater yet. Which means that the floater can be in one of two places. It can be in Earth Cave, or it can be in Marsh Cave. Zar's making his way now through his side of Castle Ordeals. And it looks like Joey's not too far behind him. I have had a report from Ice Blue in a parallel dimension. He is still racing while simultaneously kicking his router in the hope that he can bring it back up.
And chat looks like they're telling us that Zar has not gone back into the ice cave, so it looks like he will be foregoing the slab that's in there. That may come back to bite him. Ravenheart, that would just be pure evil if the floater was behind a locked door in one of the towns.
Peter, you are correct. There are 4 chests in the Titan's tunnel that could be hiding a progression item. The issue here is that, of course, with the ruby, you can get to it. And if the ruby's been found, Sho's going to need to trade that in order to go ahead and get access to it.
And Sar is leaving Ordeals with the tail, so now let's see where he heads off to next. If it's going to be to finish the Ice Cave, or if he's heading straight to Earth Cave. And by going north from there, it looks like he is going to be going to the Earth Cave.
I don't know. The Marsh Cave is also on the way here. He can drop that canoe off at one of these rivers over by the Northwest Castle and walk back down if he wants.
And contrary to popular belief, in the world of Final Fantasy, the world is round.
And he's going to go ahead and drop off at the river here, which means we're going to see our first look at Marsh Cave today. So from what we remember from previously, there are going to be spiders in Marsh Cave that can cast Ice 2 and Trance, alongside a whole host of other unpleasantries. The Fiesel and Geyer coined some of the encounters in here the Poisonous Party Mix, and we'll have to see if they live up to their names today.
And it does also have the Scorpions with, I believe it was Crack, if I remember correctly.
I hope Zar saved his game before he went in here. And it looks like X-Ice Blue has warped back from a previous dimension, and we find him in the Ice Cave. I'm going to ask him... Actually, no, I won't ask him in chat what's going on. We'll see if we can surmise what he's found and what he hasn't.
And judging by the Red Mage's life, I say he's probably more in line with Sho when it comes to life. So right around the same level. So I'd say probably mid to late 20s, depending on what type of bump he got for the life increase or health increase.
We'll have to ask him to advance to the next slide here. Meanwhile, Zar is starting to open up chests here in the Marsh Cave. Hasn't found anything. Oh, and look, there's our poisonous party mix, everyone.
He does have arachnophobia, as you said, and he was able to run away.
Alrighty, he warped out of Marsh Cave and now realizes he needs to walk back. He's checked the top of the chest, and now we'll see whether or not he goes back to check the bottom of Marsh Cave. And for those of you just joining us, this is the Final Fantasy Randomizer from the 4th round of our upcoming tournament. This is a showcase race and gives you a bit of a taste of what the Randomizer is capable of and can do for this old game. Our 4 runners tonight are pretty experienced, and so we have cranked up the difficulty on our Randomizer. All of the enemies' spells have been shuffled. All of their skills have been shuffled. They can be anywhere between 33 to 300% of their original strength. All of the chests in the game have been shuffled, but shuffled in such a way that they're still the game is still completable. All of the magic in the game has been shuffled, and the stores in which they are available are shuffled. Boy, and I'm about out of breath. What did I miss?
It looks like you hit everything on there. It's just going to be, again, chest shuffled, and then what they do, what each skill the enemies have. And we get a glimpse into the bottom level of the Marsh Cave right now. Looks like he's trying to skip an encounter. So, Lagina, just to clarify, is it what can be increased? Is it the gold, or is it the experience, or is it the amount of hit points that they can have? Because if it is hit points, it's all the way up to 300. If it's experience and gold, it's 5 times experience and extra gold as well.
Zar opening up chests at the bottom of Marsh Cave now. He's about to visit the wizards and only gets 2 of them. So this is a pretty manageable fight. Again, all 4 of our runners here are desperately seeking the floater at this point. The floater is usually in the ice cave. We've checked the ice cave and it's not there tonight. And so now we're checking other dungeons and other chests to go ahead and find its location.
So a nice little pickup by Zar there with the power staff. What that will allow is for an increase of the attack by whoever has it and uses it on themselves. And it looks like the werewolves are not something you would like to see out in the open.
And the last one ran away just for good measure, leaving Zar's party mangled but still alive. Zar's checking this last chest up here in the corner, just finds money, and he is warping out and getting the heck out of here. So he just went ahead and reset it out. He didn't find anything in Marsh Cave that he was really totally interested in, which means we will probably see him test out Earth Cave next. Jiggly Saint, the power staff does not have saber. The power gauntlet has saber. And so use of the power gauntlet in this game is very useless, or I'm sorry, very useful. Because it, when cast on the wielder, increases its attack.
My apologies about that. I saw power and looked at it too quick.
I'm getting beams from X Ice Blue's parallel dimension. He wants to let us know that he has found the Masamune and the slab and ice cave, and he's still trying to beat his internet back to life, but he is still racing at this point. Joey now wandering into the ice cave. So he is on the scent of some progression items in there. The ruby is an ice cave. The slab is an ice cave. And the Masamune, which is not required but really nice to have, is also an ice cave.
And it's looking like Star is the first one to the Earth Cave. Let's see what these chests down at the bottom have in store for us.
Whole lot of nothing so far. It's beginning to look like the game is requiring these runners to trade that ruby in for the rod to get to the bottom of Earth Cave. Earth Cave has 24 chests in it. 16 of them are up here on the first 3 levels that you can reach without any progression items. The last 8 are locked by the rod. And the rod is available from Sage Sarda, but in order to get to him, you need to have the ruby.
And it's in the volcano that you can see where Show leveling with the eye is paying off a little bit as he's almost through there. He's just about to hit the red dragon.
You know, and that's just a happy accident of the order that Show did his quests in. After he left the TNT and blew things open, he went to Ordeals first with its 9 chests. And then went to the ice cave, found the progression items he was looking for, and now that he's going to the volcano, it's not nearly as awful for him. That's correct, Beef You Curry. We are still looking for the floater. It has to be probably almost 100% here in the Earth Cave. The question for Czar is whether or not he can get to it without the ruby. We have seen the inside of Marsh Cave at this point, and I believe every chest was opened, and there was no sign of the floater there.
And Joey getting the ruby. Let's see if he exits out or chooses to continue on. Looks like he's continuing on.
Which is a wise choice for him, because we know that that slab is hiding down here. And we see X Ice Blue has come back to life here just in time to take a look at the Titan's tunnel. There are 4 chests in here, and it looks, and Ice Blue does have his ruby because he finished up the ice cave. I'm going to ask him what he has found at this point so that we can update the tracker.
And Titan's Tunnel has a little bit of gold and just a couple other, nothing to write home about. Let's watch what Sar does when he has that last bit of Earth Cave as he goes to where you would need the rod to get to lower levels.
And I have an off-chat message from X Ice Blue. He has completed the ice cave, and he has the ruby and the slab in his possession. Czar still opening up chest said, now in the 3rd level of Earth Cave, looking for the floater. There's only 2 or 3 more chests that he can check here before he's going to get locked out by the rod. So by process of elimination, we have narrowed it down that the floater needs to be an Earth Cave. The question here is it on this third level of Earth Cave that Zar is checking, or is it deeper in Earth Cave and you're going to need the ruby and the rod to get to it? If that's the case, Zar needs to warp back out of here and probably start thinking about where he has and hasn't been so that he can, by process of elimination, figure out where he needs to go.
It could also be the crown, as Tindrin did point out, that could be in the Earth Cave, and then, have the floater locked behind one of those, locked behind the Mystic Key.
That would that would be the trolliest of seeds.
That would be very brutal.
So there's one more chest here for Zar to pick. Of course, the vampire is standing in his way. Say hello to the vampire, everyone, and then say goodbye to the vampire because he won't be here long. Actually, that's a vampire with a lot of hit points.
Bye-bye.
And it's just a heal potion. And so we're watching Zar warp on out of here. And he's going to have to do a little thinking about where he might have left chests behind. Majestic Pizza, to answer your question, what the ETA is for a run in Final Fantasy Randomizer, it can be anywhere between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending on how the seed sort of falls out. The way that this seed is going so far, it looks like this is going to be a bit of a longer seed, and we're looking at 2.5 hours pretty easily. Ice Blue in the Earth Cave has his ruby and the rod and can go ahead and plumb the depths of Earth Cave where we are going to look for another progression item. It can either be the floater or the crown. Fiesel, if you have a moment, if you can flip the ruby over on Ice Blue over to the rod, please.
We're seeing Sar go back into the ice cave for the second time. Let's see if he does the full clear or if he just gets the rupee and then jets out. And if you look at Ice Blue, he is getting trolled by some bats, which is not uncommon in Earth Cave. They have a mind of their own, and typically they like to just mess with you.
Yep, they are the NPCs that no one likes to see down in the dungeons, as they tend to get in your way and then flap there as you're trying to run around. Some of the niceties in this randomizer that you're watching here really make this a pleasure to run. As you can see, everybody has a ×2 dash mechanic. You can buy up to 10 items in stores instead of buying them one at a time. For those of you that remember the waltz playing in your head as you buy 99 heal potions one after another, you do not have to do that in Randomizer. The enemies, when they kill your characters and your characters die, in original Final Fantasy they would auto shuffle those your dead characters to the bottom of your party. Here they cheerfully stay in position when they die so that you can just revive them without having to go hit the select button and go through there to reorder your party the way you wanted them.
Those may be little convenience, it seems, but they make up for a lot of lost time in menuing as well as a lot of frustration.
Czar finds his ruby for the second time. Let's see if he holds on to it this time. And he's astutely remembering that he checked those chests up in the upper left. So he's going to avoid those, and he's going to go straight down here to the lower left, where he's going to be hopefully pretty happy with what he finds.
And yes, the chime. There are the loot, the ship, the canoe, the rod, cube, and chime. And, well, oxale comes from the bottle. You buy the bottle first, and then the oxale from the ferry. He's going to do the quick equip of the Sun Sword to later unequip it and put on the Masamune.
There are the dreaded sorcerers that most people will remember from vanilla Final Fantasy being horrifying because of their death touch application status effect. Here in Randomizer, that death touch has been scrambled and sent to a different enemy. And so your sorcerers might not be as frightening as you remember them here in Randomizer, but that just means that it went to some other enemy that you don't know, and you're going to figure it out probably too late.
And yes, it does look like Tsar just got the slab.
And now it's time to focus up on the upper right-hand corner of your screen, where X Ice Blue is going to go ahead and use the rod to break down into the lower Earth Cave. This is the first time we've been down here, and we need to find a progression item down here of some sort.
So if you had to pick, Maya, what would it be? Would it be the floater, or would it be the crown down here?
My guess is that it's probably the floater that's down here, although watch, I'm going to be proven wrong. But the floater is there are no more dungeons to check other than key. There it is.
There you are.
So found the floater, and X Ice Blue is going to go ahead and stop in his tracks because he also found the power bracelet. Power bracelet is hugely useful in Randomizer.
And as I messed up earlier, the power bracelet does do Saber. Not the power rod. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if the crown was in here as well to put them into go mode?
Yep, we are one progression item away now in a chest from that fabled go mode where the runners can stop checking chests if they want and go ahead and continue. The problem with the crown is that the crown can be found anywhere, and there are still several dungeons where that crown could be hiding. And it's looking like Sho is not too far. It's about another level away from getting the floater, so he'll then soon realize
what X Ice was able to. That the floater is going to be open up a lot more options.
Gentleman Joey is also planning on heading into the Earth Cave at this point, and so all of our runners are sort of converging on Lich's little domain to go ahead and finish this dungeon up, kill off another fiend, pick up the floater, and then we're going to watch probably most of our runners head off in different directions again. Here's Ice Blue and our first look at Lich.
And Lich is down.
That was quite a hit from his leveled black belt. It was a bit of a risky encounter for him, but it ends up working out in his favor. Yes, Chad, to go ahead and... Yep, go ahead.
I was going to say the floater was in Earth Cave.
So now it's Ice Blue with a touch of a lead here. He's going to go ahead and get his slab translated by Dr. Oon, who screams, "A slab!" And he's going to grab his airship here very shortly.
And I believe, if I'm correct, Maya, that Fast is going to be blocked by the class change, so we might see that little bit of a gamble to forego Fast, which will increase the amount of times you'll hit your enemy. For some of our runners, where potentially the other runs will end up going for, to do the class change and get the Fast. Because X Ice Blue does not have the tail, what the other three do.
It's a bit of a 50-50 gamble for Ice Blue. Not class changing with the black belt is actually advantageous to a class change. A black belt, statistics-wise, actually performs a little bit better and has slightly better defensive mechanisms in place if you remain as a black belt and don't class change. He is, however, you're absolutely right, going to feel it with his mages. A class change or the lack of a class change for a white mage and a red mage will injure him in the long run and possibly keep his party away from some spells that might be useful here down the road. And I'm getting a confirmation from chat that the fast spell was in the 4th slot of level 5. The red wizard can learn that, but you need to have a class change in order to do it. The red mage also can learn fast at that level. So at this point, it would behoove X Ice Blue to probably not class change, because if it is in the 4th slot of level 5, either a red mage or a red wizard could learn it. Thank you, Thalfin, for the information. Appreciated. So we're watching Ice Blue now take his first trek up the waterfall. He'll go ahead and he'll drop a save spot right at the top of the waterfall before he goes in. That way, if he wipes or has any issues, he can just go ahead and reset and retry without losing too much time.
And what we're also going to see is the one bat that is actually our friend.
Yep, so everybody keep your eyes peeled at the bottom of the waterfall cave for our favorite bat, Out of Bounds bat, the only bat in the game that spawns outside of a walkable area. He's sometimes shy and doesn't come out to play for everyone, but when he does, it's like having a a validation for your run.
It's like unicorns and show ponies. You just love to see them.
Yep, exactly. Here we go. Look at the bottom of your screen for X Ice Blue, and let's see if Out of Bounds Bat comes to see us. I do not see. Oh, there he is. Ice Blue, thank you very much for showing us Out of Bounds Bat.
Doing a huge favor for us there, and yes, that
Run
was
validated.
Awesome.
I'm Helleboard. To answer your question, how often do we run randomizer tournaments? This is going to be the first major tournament that we're running starting this weekend, but we run pickup games and pickup races almost daily, and we do them at a whole variety of different skill levels. So if you don't feel comfortable jumping into the tournament yet for this one, go ahead and still join the community anyways, because you can go ahead and you can have a great time with us running just our daily races or our weekend races without having to be in the tournament proper.
Also, Discord becomes very funny to read from time to time if you're bored at work. Not that I know firsthand. But no, I can't speak enough about the welcomeness of the Final Fantasy Randomizer group. Very nice, very helpful. Always looking to, help you along with strats, but then also provide information if you're in need of it. As a newer runner myself, I will definitely say thank you.
So Ice Blue's diving out of the waterfall without going to visit the Sea Shrine, which makes me think he may be angling towards... oh, you know what? I bet he needs to trade it in his bottle first. Yep, that's where he's headed. He's going to Gaia to release the fairy out of the bottle.
And yes, Z Moxie, he does have the ruby.
So Fiesel, if we can put the bottle lid up for X Ice Blue, and then the second you do that, we are about to go ahead and change it into the Oxy Ale. And once again, everybody, if you can give loves and a subscribe and cheers and whatever you want to do for the Speed Gaming channel and Fiesel for allowing us to do a showcase race tonight. He's just been a great champion for this randomizer and for our little community as we're growing. And we owe him all the props. And we also probably owe him a frosty beverage after trying to track 4 people running simultaneously here.
And show, I believe, just one hit Lich.
10-6, thank you very, very much for your subscription to Speed Gaming. That's awesome. We really appreciate it. Ice Blue is going to go ahead and grab his chime from the robed Life-Inish individual and now has access to both the Mirage Tower and Sky Castle, a whopping 52 chests between those two areas. Might be his next destination here as we search for the crown now. And you see the strategy he's using there to just go ahead and reset out of encounters that he doesn't want, and then dropping occasional tents as he's running back north to go ahead and get back up as quickly as possible.
Yes, Show did just kill Lich.
Scrivo, I see your question. Let me get a document up and I'll go ahead and post it in chat for you, okay?
And we got X-Ice Blue going through the bottom level of the Mirage Tower. So let's see what this has in store for him. Cross product is not a 2-time speed race, so they are at normal, but where their run is increased.
Scrivo, I just dropped a newcomer's guide written by myself into the chat that you might be interested in. Anybody else might be interested in. It's a round 1 introduction to the Final Fantasy Randomizer. It's various settings and what you can do to go ahead and tweak the randomizer for the play style that you're interested in. It's built with the first round of our tournament in mind, but it's also a good sort of learning document.
And what we're seeing here right now between Show and X-Ice is Show has gone to the islands, typically where you will turn in your tail to get the class change. He's checking out some of the most forgotten chests in the game with all these chests under here. Let's see if that will pay off for him, if that has the crown.
And to follow up on that, the second guide that I've just posted is an advanced Final Fantasy Randomizer guide that's written by our colleagues Files and Edgeworth. And that's for using after you've run the randomizer once or twice and you want to get deeper into the mechanics of the randomizer in the game. Ice Blue slowly climbing the Mirage Tower in search of the crown. He's going to be coming up to the 3rd level, and the Blue Dragon, this will be the first appearance for him today.
And Joe doing the class change. Let's see if he goes back to get the fast. Looks like he did.
Elmacia, to answer your question, is it possible to win without finding the crown? The answer is no. The crown is required. There is a door towards the bottom of the Temple of Fiends Revisited that is locked by the Mystic Key. And in order to find that Mystic Key, you have to find the crown and trade it in.
We're going to see Sar, see if he is going to go see our friend at the Out of Bounds Bat as well, as we have X-Ice Blue going through exchange and looking at the upper levels of the castle. So we're now in the floating castle. He's using the warp straps. As soon as he gets and checks these chests, he's warping back to the beginning. That saves a little bit of time, also saves a couple of encounters.
Yeah, it really does. That's a nice strategy when you have the warp spell to go ahead and warp back to the middle of this level so that you can just save yourself a little bit of time and save yourself a little bit of headache. Kitten Mittens, to answer your question, who made the randomizer? I don't know if our lead developer Entroper is in the chat room this evening, but he has done an absolutely outstanding job. He and his team of building this Final Fantasy randomizer. Still on the search for the crown for X-Ice Blue, but he did find another ribbon, and looking at it, that is the 3rd one. 3 ribbons in the game, so Ice Blue has found all 3 of them. If you want to equip a ribbon on your 4th party member, I'm sorry, that's too bad. You'll have to deal with the wall spell instead.
I do have one for sale, though. It's just pink. And tied a little funny. And I'm starting to think by process of elimination, the crown is hidden someplace in the floating castle. Because we did have Show go through all of the chests on the island, and I don't think there's anything else left to check.
Yeah, the only dungeon that they haven't dove into yet is the Sea Shrine. And the Sea Shrine does have several chests in it. Let me look here. 32 of them to be exact. Right.
Sorry about that. I had a brain slip about that.
So the nice thing about this long search for the crown that our players are running through at this point is that they are picking up a lot of armor and weaponry that they're going to need for the end of the game anyways. You know, I've found 3 of the ribbons. The opal bracelet has been found. The Masamune has been found. And slowly but surely our runners are gathering up all of that equipment that they're going to need to survive Temple of Fiends Revisited. I'm beginning to think that oh, there's the crown. Now we'll check to see whether or not Ice Blue checks any more chests.
It's looking like he's foregoing those, I think, 5 chests.
Yep, he's skipping past several chests at this point. It looks like he is calling go mode, everyone. And he is going to go ahead and try to race to the finish at this point.
And before he gets there, he is coming up to the longest walk in the game. You're going to see him heal everyone up to as much as possible. And let's hope that 4% chance does not happen.
Yep, Warmech lurks.
And there is nasty enough seas that you can fight him more than once. That has been happened, and they do exist. Looks like he got through that bridge without any Warmech. So definitely want to say that was a good one there.
And here in Randomizer, we've changed the amount of Warmechs that you can find, and you can spin up between 1 to 4 Warmechs. No, I'm kidding. We haven't done that at all. That would be awful.
That's just mean. I'm pretty sure if you've played this randomizer once or twice, you may have fought 1 or 2 in a row. I believe there may be some guest in our chat that has fought more than that. There was a slight discussion going on in the Discord channel the other day.
Ice Blue looks like he's going to go ahead and do his class change now in preparation for his attack run, so to speak. This is probably a good move for him. He will need some extra spell charges for his red and his white mage. And his black belt is not too overly leveled, so this is probably a smart move for him.
Now, Mecha, it is not uncommon when you see black belt leveled up higher to one-shot some of the final enemies, just because not only is he very strong, but also depending upon what they roll, potentially a low roll, they can not be as they'll have less hit points.
So one more orb delight for Ice Blue. He needs to get his way through the Sea Shrine and go visit our friend Kraken. And it looks like the other three competitors are really not that far behind him. So this is, let's see, Czar and Shofukumachi will either need to go do Sea Shrine or Mirage Tower themselves, but Ice Blue has a 1 dungeon lead at this point. Enemy encounters to watch for here in the Sea Shrine for Ice Blue. The traditional enemies that will give runners fits include Wizard Sahags and Red Sahags. That is an unrunnable encounter, as well as ghosts. Ghosts especially can end a run real fast. There are 2 to 5 of them per encounter. They hit like trucks. And are generally rolled with relatively high hit points. And if we see 300% ghosts in this run, this is going to be a terrifying Sea Shrine for our runners to get through.
And Shofukumachi checking for the out-of-bounds bat, and out-of-bounds bat said he said hello once today, and that's all we're getting.
Here's our first look at our unrunnable encounter in X Ice Blue with the Wizard Sahag and the Red Sahags. If they spun up with any spells or skills that are going to give our runners problems, Fog 2 is something of an annoyance, that's for sure. That will increase their defense and just make it longer for this encounter to get fought through.
We got Tsar making a beeline for the Mirage Tower and Floating Castle. He will be happy he made that choice.
Did you see the T-Rex sighting on the way?
I did miss it. I do hope that Tsar let him go on his merry way. You do know why the T-Rex is so angry sometimes. These tiny little hands that he can't give hugs with. He just wants a hug.
Ice Blue's making quick work here of the Sea Shrine. He's on the 4th level now, dropping down to the 5th level. It looks like he's avoiding ghosts so far. He's on the bottom level now. The major encounter here to watch out for are Waters. Waters is another unrunnable encounter that can end a race real fast. And this is a super clean Sea Shrine from X Ice Blue. He's not getting much in the way of unrunnable encounters. He's getting nice long stretches in between encounters. He's extending his lead at this point.
This will just go to tell you the time between go mode and finishing the game, which you'll see happening if it all goes according to plan and goes well. That you, once these top tier runners are in go mode, it doesn't take much longer.
First look at Kraken, Kraken 1, that is. We'll see a different Kraken 2 here in a little bit. Oddly knows the Fire 2 spell. That's a function of the randomizer scrambling the spells this evening.
And he's down.
Yeah, that wasn't a whole lot of hit points. Looks like Kraken was rolled a little bit lower, and that can be perfectly reasonable in a randomizer, and anywhere between 33 to 300% this evening. And that is the last Orb Delight for X Ice Blue, and so he is on his approach now to the Temple of Fiends Revisited. But first, a quick stop off to visit our old friend Astos, who wants the crown and has a crystal for us.
Typically in vanilla, this is one of the tougher fights, and you see Ace just take him down for X Ice Blue.
All right, so now that we've picked up the crystal, we're going to go back to our friendly local witch, Matoya, and drop that crystal off and pick up some herb. This is beginning to sound like some clandestine operations, that some fetch quests here.
And we're going to change that for a key that opens every single door. So that's very interesting. The crystal for the herb for the key. Maybe a little bit shady deals going on.
And Ice Blue is waking up the Elf Prince, grabbing that Mystic Key, which is the very last required component he needs to finish this game. We might see him do a little bit of shopping here, just to pick up a couple of extra spells, but he is looking comfortable for an attempt at Temple of Fiends Revisited here. Life 2 is an outstanding pickup.
And this is interesting. Sar is on one of the top levels of the floating castle. I'm not positive. I wasn't able to see if he got the crown, but it is on the prior level in the one of the chests to the right-hand side in the middle, left-hand side in the middle.
So this is a strategy that Czar likes to employ, and it's a smart one when you have the warp spell. As you'll see here, he's going to warp right back out and go back to the second level, and then go back up to the third level. This allows him to check these chests up here on the third level, where there are more of them than there are on the second level. And so right now he's just playing the odds. He will check the second level here once he clears the third level out.
Perfect, just saw that. Thank you. Did not know. I was a little concerned about that. I'm like, no!
It would be awful to get this far and then leave chests behind.
And let's see how these gas dragons are going to be to X Ice Blue. They are another one of the unrunnable encounters that we have. Looks like he's trying to put everyone to sleep. Not reading a bad story, though.
So there are a whole host of unrunnable encounters here that X Ice Blue is going to have to be careful about. Gas dragons being one of them. Iron golems, eyes, worms, zombie dragons, frost giants, the list goes on and on. Waters, fire elementals, earth elementals. It's a pretty brutal dungeon to get through. Normally, and here in Randomizer, depending on what these encounters have spun up with, this could be a tough fight.
And Sarge just picking up his crown over there. And looks like the gas dragons had a high physical defense, but their magical defense was not that good.
Seeing our first look at the Phantom this evening.
Yes, NSM, that is something you're able to do. You can shuffle magic levels of spells. You can do a key permission, but luckily, thankfully for our runners, and we're not choosing to do that tonight.
And that keep permissions option, NSM 013, means that no matter where a spell gets shuffled, if their original mage can't learn that spell, then you're not going to be able to learn it in Randomizer either. It's something that we generally play with off because we find that it'd be a little too punishing. But otherwise, it's available for other players if they want to give themselves a challenge.
And Sire's on the Bridge of Destiny, as we'll call it.
Three Earth unrunnable elementals there for Ice Blue. It's not going to be too difficult for him to take down, but will just slow him down a little bit. Really, the other runners are going to need him to wipe at this point, and have to reattempt Temple of Fiends maybe once or twice here in order to catch him.
Sorry, having a little bit of a heartache every time the catches an encounter on the bridge. And now we see Sho Fukumachi on the same bridge as well. Let's see if we can do 3 for 3. Sorry, make it 4 for 4 because I do believe Joey was not encountering the Warmac.
See side-by-side Tiamat fights here. Czar takes his down, and Sho doesn't look like he's having any issues with Tiamat here either. That will finish their third orbs up for both of those players, and then they're going to have to go and quick rush through Sea Shrine in order to finish up their set of orbs. Here's Lich 2 for the first time. Let's see what he spun up with. And not much. He went down like like he was made of paper, so not a whole lot there.
Right about 500 hit points is, I would say, would be his maximum there.
Yep, that would. He spins up originally with about 500 hit points, and so it didn't look like it veered too far in either direction. Ice Blue's running straight for carry now.
And Carrie is down. Looked like about right around 300 hit health as well.
So far, the randomizer has been kind down here.
Playing in their favor, but we have the true test and the true final boss coming up in Castle of Fiends Revisited.
Water Elementals on the Temple of Fiends Revisited, another unrunnable encounter that Ice Blue just has to work his way through. This can be a really brutal encounter if those Water Elementals learn some spell, because they hit quite hard anyways, but it looks like in this randomizer they did okay.
So Daryl Thomas, this is Final Fantasy Randomizer. To kind of give the quick overview of it, means that you can find anything in any chest. Also, along with that, you do see Maya just linking some information about the tournament that's coming up. Along with having anything in a chest, you can have some spells and switched out through all of the spell shops, as well as having health on the enemies increase, decrease, depending upon which ones you use. And I am not Brad. Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime subscription.
And we're one square away now from seeing Kraken 2, which is the secret terrible boss in plenty of these randomizers. Kraken can hit up to 8, if not sometimes more times, and can hit for a lot of damage and can take a character down easily on his own. Ice Blue has moved his black belt down to the bottom of his party, hoping to protect him. It's a smart decision.
Kraken with Blizzard.
In a reasonably high defense stat, we'll see when he attacks how high of an attack he rolled. Six hits for 253 damage. Oh, and there he went. Ice Blue going straight for Tiamat too now. Two bosses away now for Ice Blue.
Tiamat kicking in the Fire 3, hitting the Red Mage pretty hard to begin with, using Temper to increase his Black Master's fighting.
That's a bad sign. I've watched Ace now attack and also Chan down at the bottom, and they've only gotten one hit in between the two of them. And Tiamat just trucked the poor White Mage. So White Mage down, White Mage down. And boy, he's got crazy evade on him. Tiamat's dodging right and left these attacks. Okay, look out. We've got a real problem here with Tiamat. Tiamat is proving very difficult to hit here.
And Ice Blue going with the white shirt strat. It's going to be casting Invis 2, where it will be increasing his evade. So it makes him not as easy to hit, much like Tiamat is right now.
So this is going to be a real issue. If Ace and Chan can't lay any... Oh, and it knows nuke. Okay, this is going to be a real issue for our runners.
And nuclear.
Everybody settle in. We're going to be here for a little bit. Okay, that was a critical hit. We need another one from Chan. And now Chan's only down to 55 hit points and dropping.
So I did see that his Red Mage Jin for Ice Blue does
there he
have
goes.
Bane. Yeah. So what we may see is him try Bane, which is a instant death spell on Tiamat.
Yeah, that's going to be a possible solution to Tiamat too. This is one of the great examples of what the randomizer can do. Bane might be a response to Tiamat 2 here. I don't know if... Does Ice Blue have the Bane Sword or a Bane spell?
The Bane spell, it was an early spell, I remember. His Red Mage does have it. I have not seen the Bane Sword at all with any of the runners. And it looks like Sar did just knock down Carry, number 1, and he'll be going into Castle Fiends Revisited.
So Zara's finished up his last orb as Ice Blue is going to give this another shot. Another possibility that Ice Blue can use to try to get out of this predicament is trying to locate the Lock 2 spell. The Lock and Lock 2 spells in Randomizer have been fixed, so you could possibly reduce Tiamat 2's evade by using the Lock 2 spell. I don't know if anybody in chat has seen where that landed in any of these magic shops, and if anyone has bought it. But with Tiamat 2's high evade like this, Ice Blue is going to have a real test on his hands here.
So I would, where I'm not an expert with that, I am not Brad. To venture to guess, I would say it would still be relatively not a cakewalk, but make it a little bit easier. Because you would still have to hit, that is right.
So good grinding opportunities down here in the Temple of Fiends Revisited that might be of use to Ice Blue and our other runners. 1 to 4 worms can give a great deal of experience. These bad men can rack up some experience pretty easily. So there are some opportunities to level down here. So we'll see what happens. And now we're just watching Sho Fukamachi take his first run now into the Temple of Fiends Revisited. So we have 2 of our 4 runners now into the final dungeon. Of course, Sho does not know what is in store for him down here.
And it's looking like Sar is picking up the defense, which may prove to be very important when he refights Tiamat, because that will increase his defense, make him harder to hit, because that will use Ruse, which will increase his evade by 80. Might pay off in the long run, I'd say. It looks like it was a level 1 spell for Jin to have Bane on X-Ice Blue.
Got it. And Sho Fukamachi high-fived X-Ice Blue as he went by. He's going to go ahead and give the Phantom a try. And Zar now is entering the Temple of Fiends for his first run as well. So we have 3 of the 4 runners now in the final dungeon.
And it does look like Gentleman Joey's about to get his 3rd orb. I know it says 3 down there right now. He just has not entered into the floating castle or the Mirage Tower.
Sho now working his way across on the earth floor. We know that the first 3 of these fiends were not too much of an issue for Ice Blue, and so we can hope that Sho Fukamachi has the same sort of luck. Like didn't have a whole lot of hit points or attacks, and Carry and Kraken weren't all that difficult either.
Forum, there is still potentially some time to sign up for the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament that will be happening. I know it seems like you may have missed one of 2 of these matches, but we're always looking for more. And the tournament starts the 26th, and the sign up is still for maybe a couple more hours, if I'm correct. 11 West Coast time.
Yep, and then the first round of the tournament will get really rolling this weekend, so you'll have a couple of opportunities to run some practice races if you wish to do so. And we're more than happy to help new runners get set up over the course of the next week if you would like to join us in the tournament. If you don't think you're ready for quite the tournament yet, but you want to join us anyways, we do a lot of daily or weekly races, and we're more than happy to have you with us. But we're definitely encouraging people to sign up for the tournament, especially if you know and love this old version of Final Fantasy. I can tell you that this is completely... it's completely ruined me on the original game. I don't know if I can go back and play original Final Fantasy anymore now that I'm playing the randomizer.
I would definitely have to agree with that. I have not powered up regular Final Fantasy, especially just with the speed increase and some of the other just benefits of having this. It's obviously you see you can beat it in 3 hours, where if you're not one of the elite speedrunners when it comes to this game, it doesn't take you 5 to 6 to 7 hours to play one. As well, it doesn't hurt if you get the nuke spell at level 1.
Shofukamachi's making his way now through the water floor. He'll go ahead and he'll take down this unrunnable encounter. He'll meet Kraken, and then all eyes will be on him to see if he has an answer for the Tiamat that Ice Blue didn't.
And it's looking like Joey is going to the Marsh Cave, trying to avoid having to go to the floating castle in the tower to get the crown.
And I see one of our own circle of Sage members, Edgestream, has joined the chat. Good evening, sir. You'll be happy to know that not many Tyros died this evening. As far as the Vorpal, I don't know if we've seen the Vorpal appear yet this evening.
I believe chat was telling us that it was in the Sea Shrine, and since Joey full cleared the Sea Shrine looking for the crown, he ended up finding it. And we do have Shofukamachi going to Kraken 2. He will soon find out that it is not as hard as he thought it would be, and it will be over relatively soon.
Right behind him, Czar's working on Carrie, who probably shouldn't cause much of a struggle for him either. It's really going to come down to if anybody has an answer for Tiamat 2 here. Ice Blue, meanwhile, with a little bit more information than our other two runners, since he's already met the horror that is Tiamat 2, he is wisely electing to level up his party, and he's going to take a second attempt here in a little bit.
It is looking like Shofukamachi is having some problems with Kraken.
Kraken did roll with a high evade stat for this. Ice Blue was able to take it, and Kraken can go. It just, yep, and there he went. So Kraken really only spun up, I think, with maybe 300 to 400 hit points total. Oh man, and he gets an unrunnable encounter right at the bottom. That's tough break for him. The nice thing about the power bracelet that Chad is talking about is that it casts Saber on its user, and Saber has dual usage. It's not only an attack buff, but it is also an accuracy buff, and that may come into play here as they try to take Tiamat 2 down. So let's see if Shofukamachi has any better luck than Ice Blue did. And with Czar right behind him, we might have side-by-side Tiamat 2 beatdowns here. And 685 damage later shows poor Black Belt just bit the dust.
We saw him with his white mage, debating between using invis, which would have increased his evade, and ended up going with fade, which is a spell that can cause obviously damage like holy. And let's see how this plays out for him. Luckily, he has the Masamune on the red mage.
He's looking for counterplay here. I don't know if he's going to find it with 3 mages against Tiamat. This is not looking good for him, unfortunately. His best bet here is to just start spamming attack spells.
And we got Sar just about to start fighting Tiamat.
Blissfully unaware of what awaits him here. And Tiamat 2 for Zar just took an enormous bite out of his red wizard. All right, so Zar's using the ruse spell on his black belt, which may help here a little bit, and it's going to be a race between who can hit who here. Shofukamachi said no thank you, and is going to go ahead and start over.
And if Ice Blue, Sar, and Shofukumachi still have a little bit of trouble with Tiamat, we may see Joey end up catching up.
So Zar is starting to make headway here. He has rused his black belt to the point where Tiamat is really not getting hits in. And he's got his white wizard doing work with a fade spell. It's going to be a close match here. Nope, there he went. One more fade spell for Beck the white mage. And he is out of attack spells now. And we're down to tickle damage with the Zeus gauntlet now. Zar, I'll tell you, sir, that was a good attempt when you're watching the VOD later. That's by far the best attempt we've seen on Tiamat yet. Ice Blue is still leveling and working his way now through the fire floor. We'll see whether or not his souped-up party can take this dragon down.
And looking like Sar is going to start to level as well.
So, Joker, what would you do in this situation? If this is you, aside from, throwing your computer out the window and running away, what would your answer be here?
I'd go the non-traditional route and just try to hit him with Bane. I'll be honest with you. I would defense up, I would evade up, and I would just go for Bane. I would throw the Hail Mary, I would say. How about yourself?
I think there's a good opportunity in doing that. I'm interested to see whether or not Ice Blue's approach here. He's leveled for a good solid 20 minutes, and no one else has finished. So he has to know that everybody else is having issues here too. I also got to think that there has to be a way to reduce Tiamat 2's evasion. You can't kill somebody that you can't hit. And so I would go looking for the Lock 2 spell. Czar's starting to fly around now. I'm wondering what it is he's up to here.
Is he going to to get the guarantee encounter?
Yeah, he might be heading down here to grind.
I believe it was 6,500 per when he had 2 people in his party, so that will help out a bit. But I'm also very biased to Bane just because I've seen it work once or twice when I've done it, and I would be sitting there hoping. But let's see what happens with X Ice Blue, and I don't believe we have seen the spell that would lower the evade just yet. And he's going in for another attempt.
He has his black belt in the 3rd position, covering his white mage. That's probably the smartest lineup here to have.
And getting hit with a nuclear right off the bat.
So he's going to temper up that black mage or that black belt and start buffing up evasion. The problem is that evasion's not going to keep the nuclear and the nuke and the poison and the swirl and everything else away. And so he has to really defend on 2 fronts here.
And lucky roll by his white mage Rin with being able to stay alive by 1 hit point. R.I.P. and P. Jin, the red mage.
Okay, so there was a critical hit. It hit for 389 damage.
We got a 560. Looks like he's making some headway.
Okay, so we're getting there. So 384, 560, and oh boy, here come his party members are falling now.
I hate to say it, did we just give a commentator curse right there?
I didn't say anything. It wasn't my fault.
I'll take blame on that one.
So Ardia SRL in chat is also one of our sages who knows this game much better than I do, and says that lock 2 is probably not going to be a lock to hit Tiamat. So if Artia, if you can elaborate a little bit in chat what the percent to hit is for that spell, and why we think that's not going to work here.
It does look like Tsar is doing the eye strats.
So the next up for the Tiamat love train will be Shofukamachi here, who's just wrapping up the water floor and will be visiting our secret last boss of the game shortly. It looks like he may have the Lock 2 spell on him to see whether or not that works.
And you got to be wondering what's going through Joey. What Joey is thinking right now, as he's like, we're what 2+ hours almost. We're 2+ hours into this. He has not seen a dot done just yet. What does that mean? It's either very ominous or he made all the right plays. And let's hope it will pay off for having the extra life and the couple extra levels that he's been able to go through.
I just dropped another link to our community Discord in the chat. If you're watching this and you want to join our community, I promise you that not all of the seeds are as difficult as this. We run seeds of all different difficulty levels. In the tournament that we're running later this weekend, we'll start off gentle and start off pretty vanilla, and we'll ramp up from there. But, if you want to join the tournament, you're welcome to. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine too. You can just run regular races with us.
And Joey is about to find the crown. And Sho Fukumachi about to go to Kraken 2 for the second time.
Already at SRL dropping some knowledge for us in the chat room. Lock and Lock 2 apparently can't hit, which is hilarious because it's supposed to reduce an enemy's evade and you need it to hit. And then he recommends that really the best thing to do is to just evade stack and hoping that everybody stays alive long enough to just pour through some damage. And Sho warped all the way back out and is going to make another run. Skepticon in chat notes that Vorpal, which is a sword with a really high critical hit percentage rating, would really help against Tiamat. To our knowledge right now, the only runner that holds Vorpal is our 4th place runner, Gentleman Joey, who we believe found Vorpal in the Sea Shrine when everybody else ran right through it. That may be Joey's ace in the hole here. Whether or not any of the other runners can get past Tiamat before he gets there remains to be seen.
And he is on the Bridge of Destiny, and one step away from avoiding Warmack.
So when Gentleman Joey next dives into his armor and weapon menu screens, let's look at his weapon screen and see if he did pick up Vorpal or not.
I would say this seed has become not only a pretty trolly seed in where the items were found, but also very trolly when it comes to shuffled stats on the bosses, especially as we're finding out with Sho, Sar, and Ice that Tiamat is the true, it appears, hopefully knock on wood, final boss of this game. Wouldn't it be something if Chaos was a one-shot?
At this point, that would be blessed release for our runners after getting past Tiamat. So X-Ice Blue is closing in on Kraken. After that, he will take a third attempt at Tiamat 2. And it looks like Shofukamachi is, I believe I saw him on the fire floor here, so he's also closing in on another run.
And we got Sar leveling his black belt up to level 33, which is the same that Shofukamachi has on his. We got Ice Blue starting Kraken 2, which as we know has the high evade, and kind of hits relatively hard.
And Gentleman Joey has entered the Temple of Fiends Revisited. He has all 4 orbs lit. And so he's going to make his attack run now. All right, all eyes on X-Ice Blue. Here we go. The key to this is going to be for his mages to get Invis 2 and the buffing spells off early. If he can do that and Tiamat starts missing, he could conceivably be able to stay ahead of the damage here. Double tempering his black belt. He's got 1 cast of Invis 2 queued up. And it looks like he's just going to attack with his white mage.
As we have Shofukamachi doing, fighting in unrunnable encounter, it appears,
Wow.
And we have Ice Blue with his black belt, with his master down.
Master down, master down.
And a reset coming in, which I don't blame him on that, where it looked like after he was able to buff up the master on his most successful attempt, that was when he was causing as much damage. I hope someone got the number on that truck that just hit the master.
I'm going to need another drink. How do I get another drink around here?
I agree. I've already gone through my water myself. I know I can get my dog to get me one.
All right, Shofukamachi is nearing Tiamat time again. He has to get through Kraken. Kraken has not proven to be too much of an issue for anybody this evening. Joey is reaching Lich for the first time. Joey's sort of our ace in the hole here. We haven't seen him run through this yet.
I cannot wait to get these runners' feedback and input after this. Hopefully they're willing to chat with us a little bit and tell us what was going on as they were having their encounters with Tiamat. Looks like Sar has managed to kill off his red mage and white mage. That way he's able to start the process of just purely leveling the master and the fighter.
You know, his black belt has hit points right around 750 at this point, which is starting to get really beefy. His long view strategy here may be the one that eventually pays off.
And at 6,500 experience at a pop, it shouldn't be too long between leveling up. Yes, his black belt just hit 732 hit points.
Here we go with Tiamat 2 again for Shofukamachi this time. Tiamat, I believe, has taken down 5 parties at this point. Let's see if he makes it 6. Starting with fasting his black belt and dropping an Invis 2 down.
Also using Power Gauntlet. We got Ice Blue back on the Earth level. We have Gentleman Joey on the water level. Just finished up with some waters.
Okay, so he's gotten through 1 round and nobody's dead, so that's a good start. And now it's going to be a race here to see whether or not he can keep everybody alive, especially that master that he's working on. And down goes the Black Mage, or the Black Wizard. Not a terrible loss here. Shows Master has already been fasted, so that's done.
And it's looking like he are still unable to hit.
And Nuke just tears through the party. There went the mages. And we're still seeing that even a buffed up black belt master is just unable to land any hits on this Tiamat too.
We got Gentleman Joey looking like he is going to be the next one to fight Tiamat 2. Hitting Kraken, he'll soon find out that the evade is high.
And there went poor show. All right, Joey, you're up next. Ice Blue is right behind him here.
Looks like Joey lost his master with the Kraken 2 fight. And Ice Blue is on his way to Tiamat for another fight with him.
I believe this is the 7th attempt now at Tiamat 2. We will see whether or not Ice Blue's leveling will help him here. I think Czar is the one to really watch now. He has a Black Belt Master sitting at around level 40-ish at this point, and can probably take repeated pummelings from Tiamat.
I think we have Webster's Dictionary on the line looking to change the definition of insanity to Final Fantasy I Randomizer. Round 4 flags.
This isn't even semifinals or finals.
I cannot wait to watch those. Those are, imagine, going to be fun. I believe the final round is going to be a vote in the a vote for what the 4 party members will be.
All right, Ice Blue starting his attempt now. And Joey's right behind him. Poor Joey only has 2 alive characters and has no idea what he's about to run into.
I believe he is soon going to find out what he has encountered with this, with now the red mage, the fighter going down, does the reset. Like he is going to be going back in again.
Joey nopes right out of that encounter and will go ahead and do some leveling. So, X-Ice Blue, this is attempt number 8, and we've gone through several rounds at this point, and all of his characters are still alive. Several applications of the white shirt with Invis 2 will make this harder for Tiamat to hit people, but the problem is the nuke spell, and here it comes again. After that, he also has nuclear, poison, swirl. There's no letting up from this boss right now. And now we see him switching to Bane. That's probably a good option at this point.
And does look like the Master was able to put a little bit of damage, crack that shield of Tiamat.
This red wizard's doing work, using that heal helmet, trying to keep his pugilists alive here. But with that high evade stat, he's only hitting on maybe 1 of every 4 attempts, and even then it's not really critting for too much damage. Okay, so we've gotten to the point where Tiamat's attacks are also not landing, which means that this is going to be a race now between whether Tiamat uses his skills and his spells, or keeps trying to attack.
Looks like he was taking out the red wizard, and let's hope this black belt does some damage. And he's now switched to spells as well. Tiamat, almost like he knows what we're doing on our sides.
Yeah, this is a really nasty randomizer roll for this boss. It also looks like he has relatively high hit points. I saw the question from Lightyear go by about how many hit points Tiamat 2 can have. In this version of the randomizer that we're running this evening, he can have anywhere between 33% of his original total all the way up to 300% of his original total. And we're really hoping it's not the latter at this point.
Looks like Sar has hit the water level of Fiends Revisited. And let's see if he makes it to Tiamat 2.
Okay, so there's a critical hit.
Damage.
Yep,
Yeah.
430 damage, and wow, Tiamat just wipes him again. Okay, so that was the 8th attempt, everyone. If you need to refresh your drinks, go ahead and do it, because we might be here for a little bit yet. Ice Blue, pondering his life choices, is trying to figure out what to do.
I was going to say, looks like he just took you up on your offer.
Yes, hello, Ice Blue.
That's what we're all thinking right now, Ice Blue.
So meanwhile, Czar, with his hyper-level black belt, is now reaching Kraken and is going to try to crack Tiamat here after he gets done with the Water Fiend.
Chat, let's get our runners some hype. They've been going at it for almost 3 hours now. What is it? 8th, 9th temp at Tiamat for these guys. Let's throw some hype their way. Let's throw some luck their way.
Okay, so yeah, so let's. I don't even know what to say anymore. I've cracked.
Tiamat has not only taken out everyone's party, he's also taken out the runners and the commentators. Everyone. That would just be mean if Tiamat had a Cure 4 spell at the end of his list.
All right, so Czar, having taken down Kraken, is going to go ahead and hopefully number 9 is the lucky number here. We're going to try this again.
Thank you very much, Dino. Like your style. Hype, and yes. Let's get some hype. Let's get these guys. Yes, they can do it. I have faith in our runners.
And it all, let's hope it all starts off well here for Czar. So putting down his buffs first. He's going to go for the spell damage from his red wizard, and goodbye to him. Couple applications of the white shirt for the Invis 2, helping to dodge. Tiamat just going straight to his spells, though.
Tiamat has become self-aware. And looks like X Ice Blue may be going to, yes, level up a little bit.
Yep, he's going to go grind on the eye, which is what Czar did about a half hour ago. And we're trying to see now whether or not Czar's strategy is going to work here. Ardia dropping some knowledge for us again in the chat room. Thank you, sir. Bane works on Tiamat in the Sky Castle, but not in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So any Bane attempts here to bring down Tiamat 2, not going to work. Czar's starting to get there. We're starting to see a little bit of damage come through.
We got Gentleman Joey on Kraken 2 as well.
So we're down to the Master versus Tiamat 2 for Czar. Doing their best impression of a martial arts movie where everybody's swinging but nobody's connecting. And there he goes.
GG Czar. Now it's on to hopefully Chaos is not as... hopefully Chaos is a lot more friendlier.
It's a one-on-one battle. The Master versus Chaos for the title here.
Could this be the resistible force versus the immovable object?
We're going to find out. We haven't even seen Chaos. We don't know what Chaos has available to him. We don't know what his stats are. If we've got another high evasion enemy here at the end of the game, we may be in for quite a battle. Czar plundering the dead bodies of the other 3 light warriors to set his master Fiesel up for the run here.
And if you look at the damage that he's doing to the rock wall, it just tells you the amount of evasion and exactly what he was dealing with Tiamat.
So let's get some hype in the chat, everybody. This is Master Fiesel versus Chaos for 2,000 years of history and the end of the game. Let's go for this. After the rock columns.
Looks like he's getting a couple last little levels in there.
Okay, the rock golems have been taken care of, and we'll hopefully get to the bottom of the Temple of Fiends Revisited without another encounter. And here we go. It's one-on-one, mano-y-mano. Chaos versus Order.
And we got Show fighting Tiamat Revisited, Tiamat 2, as well as Gentleman Joey fighting him too. So we got 2 runners on Tiamat 2. We have Master Fiesel against Chaos. And let's see how this goes.
Okay, he hits rather hard. That was 330 down. Rub attack is not going to work against Fiesel's with the ribbon.
Critical hit for 215. Oh, Ari
Brutal. If we've got Cure 4, wow.
It's up to 360 damage so far on him.
Oh no, Slow 2 is an awful spell. He just lost all of his ability for multi-hit attacks. Oh, wow. Slow 2 is just a killer in this instance.
He has started to crack it. He is putting another bit of damage. The last thing we want to see is another Cure 4 come his way. Ink is fine.
Yep, Ink is fine. Ink is a skill. Fire 2, I wonder how many spells he has on him. We've seen Stop, Rub, Cure 4, Slow 2, Fire 2.
We just saw crack. Inferno.
This is going to come down to the wire here. Okay, we've cycled back around. That was Stop, and so we have Rub and then Cure 4. Okay, so Cure 4 is next. Wow. Okay. And Czar flies away, never to be seen again.
We got Gentleman Joey on Tiamat as Chaos as well.
Come on, Joey, pull through here.
And another
Putting down those
hit.
critical hits. Yeah, looks good, looks good. But Chaos Cure 4s.
And we got Sho Fukumachi. Just finished Tiamat. He's going to be going to Chaos.
Alrighty, this would be the third attempt on Chaos down in the lower left of your screen now, and he has more people alive than our previous runners did.
And we got Sar going to Sea Shrine.
Let's see what strategy Sho goes for here. He's got 2 mages, and so he's going to fast up his red wizard and hope that his red wizard can stay alive for this. Eight hits for 91 damage with probably just 1 crit there. Sho's going to need to be a little bit luckier than this.
And Ice has his has a master at level 43. So looks like he's trying to get him maybe max leveled at this point.
Yeah, probably a smart move at this point. He's just sitting there patiently up in the ice cave, grinding on ice. There's Chaos with another Cure 4. Bracket reset for Chaos in the lower left. And Slow 2 there is just a horrifying spell to watch get applied to one of your party members.
Little gremlin, never give up. These definitely want to, again, send as much hype as possible to these runners. Definitely hats off to them. As you can see, Tiamat has been one of the hardest ones that we've seen for a while, and Chaos is no slouch himself. If I had to guess, he is looking for potentially Vorpal to have that higher critical chance.
Sho is starting to make headway again here on Chaos. That was a critical hit for almost 700 damage. He's now bringing out the Lock 2 spell. Kind of a low chance of that hitting, but he's starting to do some work here. That was another critical hit for 500 damage this time. And that was another 446. He's starting to really make ground here. Chaos might be in some trouble. And 742, he's got to be close at this point.
Another 700 hit.
Wow, this is a large Chaos. And yes, everyone, you just read that correctly. That was 8 hits for 999 damage. And yes, Chaos is still up.
And Chaos is
down. And there he went, everyone. Wow. GG to Sho Fukumachi, everyone. So our first runner is completed and is across the finish line. After having taken down Tiamat 2 and Chaos, 2 of the really most ridiculous, grossest bosses I've ever seen this randomizer throw up quite literally and figuratively at our runners this evening. That was quite a battle, Joker.
That was crazy. 2 hours and 59 minutes. I don't know the exact SRL time, but I will say hats off to these 4 runners to show Sar, Ice, and Joey, keeping with the gusto and keep it going.
So everyone, we're working on getting Sho in the commentary chat room here with us so that we can talk to him about this seed. So get those questions ready. Meanwhile, Gentleman Joey's still working at this, and he's going to go ahead and on the water floor, and then take another run through this gauntlet of bosses at the end here.
Cannot wait to hear what Sho was thinking about as he was going back through fighting Tiamat for the second time, third time plus, and then getting to Chaos.
So just dropped a couple links there in chat for you all to look at. If this seed this evening hasn't made you run screaming from the room, we would love to have you join us in our community for Final Fantasy Randomizer races. We run all sorts of levels of competition, and our first major tournament is going to start up on Saturday. And that tournament will run from round 1 all the way up to, I believe, round 5 or 6. And they're not normally this horrifying. They are. They will start on the gentle end, and then we will get progressively more difficult as the tournament continues. This is our 3rd showcase race for our community, and our first tournament will start on this Saturday. I see Sho's in our waiting room, so let me see if I can drag him over here into chat. We'll start on this Saturday. And Sho, I've got you with us now. You're in the commentary room. This is Maya, and I've got Joker with me.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Sho. Great job there. Just quick question. What was going through your mind as you were hitting Castle of Fiends Revisited for the 3rd, 4th, and so on?
I definitely didn't think that this seed was going to be beatable unless I went back and maybe leveled my black belt or something. Oh my gosh. Frustrating for sure.
I can totally get it, and I have to tell you, I think Tiamat stopped at least 8 or 9 runs on its own before anybody even started to see Chaos. It was just a brutal setup. What did you do? How many times did you fight Tiamat yourself, and what were you thinking about countermeasures?
Well, I think probably 4 times, 5 times I wiped, and then obviously wasn't hitting him with physical attacks, so I decided to go with magic, and that ended up working for the most part. I mean, I lost the black belt, and I lost the white mage, who, of course, was the only character that was able to cast Life or Life 2. So going into Chaos, with just 2 characters was definitely nerve-wracking.
Tiamat and Chaos have sort of wiped the rest of this seed from my mind. What can you remember about the race before this? How did you feel? Whether you were ahead or behind, and how did it unfold for you?
Well, I was, as you know, I keep an eye on my timer. I was really surprised that no one had finished around the 2.5 hour mark. So I figured that I felt that I was behind just because I went to Ordeals and it only had Tail, right? And then I went to Ice and it had Ruby, but it did also have Slab and the Masamune, which was nice. So I felt I was behind because Ordeals was pretty fruitless other than the ribbon that was in there. And then the regular bosses weren't too bad. And then Lich 2, Carry 2 were really easy. I mean, basically one hit wonders, and then Kraken 2 is where it got tough, and then I figured that everyone was probably stuck either Kraken 2 or Tiamat 2.
Yep, and that ended up really being the decider of this match, watching everybody bash their head against Tiamat and then Chaos over and over again. As we watch now, Gentleman Joey's going to make another run at Tiamat here.
And it does look like Sar did end up going back into C to get the Vorpal, hopefully to have a little bit more critical. But, Sho, you were saying that it was magic that was getting you through. That's where you decided on going?
Yeah, because with Fade and Nuke, that really helped out to take out Tiamat in the end, I guess. Because I used all my casts of Fade and Nuke and then was just casting magic. Because I was guaranteed hitting. It was just how much it was going to hit for.
And as you saw, I didn't write down how many times that Chaos used Cure 4 on you. Was that kind of in the back of your mind as you were going through?
Well, he only cast it on me once, and that at the very beginning when I wasn't doing any damage. So I was okay with that, and I was like, well, at least it got out of the way early, and then hopefully he doesn't cast it again.
I think Maya will better be able to remember than I will when it comes down to when that was coming up for his spells. I think that was coming up shortly.
Yeah, I think it was second or third, and he also, frighteningly had Slow 2 in his repertoire for the evening, which can just really take a physical fighter down to nothing. And then of course you need to fast it in order to remove that effect. Between those two, that's just a brutal combination to try to deal with.
Yeah, luckily the red mage and the black mage both had plenty of fast casts, so I wasn't too worried about that.
So definitely. And by the way, Sho, we do have a lot of runners who are thinking on the fence, looking into this. What advice can you give chat to if they're looking at joining this randomizer race or the randomizer community?
Well, normally it's not this hard. This is obviously a round round 4 seed, with higher enemy stats, with everything shuffled. So generally it's not this hard. When we usually race, it's usually about 150%, 200%, not 300%, where, we're going to spend, 30, 40 minutes on a boss or so. But yeah, it's really fun. The community is really helpful, and we're doing a lot more races now, so which is really, really cool. So, and feel free to message any one of us because, we're always willing to help out.
And in chat, if you want to spam some questions, totally up for it. Toss them our way.
Oh, I see someone said this seed for the final round is going to be really hard. I think it's 450%, 400%, and a fully randomized party.
So if you had your vote, Sho, what would be the most difficult party in your opinion? Now remember, there's no wrong answer, chat. What would your opinion be for the most trolly or difficult?
As in overall, as in the randomizer itself, or just this race?
For the final race, because that's going to be voted on by the community, if I'm correct.
Okay, well, if it's like a 500% race, with everything shuffled and a full randomized party, the worries is are we going to have enough people to do damage? Or we're going to end up with 2 thieves and a red mage and a black mage, or, stuff like that. Because for me, in my parties, I like to have at least one physical damage dealer. And especially the higher percentages, I kind of like it to be a black belt because the way the damage works and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I think with the 4 white mages, at least we would have a chance of picking up an early fade spell. And all of the positive buffing spells can make that party pretty viable. I'm looking at chat, sort of hating on the 4 thieves, and that there's probably a little bit of truth to that.
Yeah, 4 thieves would definitely be very tough. Although you never know, fast could be early, and then with the power gauntlet, or maybe some nukes, an early nuke. If you class change to a ninja, you can learn that.
So we haven't forgotten about our other 3 racers still hanging out there. Looks like X-Ice Blue is gearing up for another attempt here, getting through Kraken and then moving on to Tiamat 2 again. Sho, as the time ticked down and we got to 2.5 hours, then 2 hours and 3/4, and so on and so forth. You know, if this didn't work, where were you going next? What were you going to try to do next?
Probably power level my black belt more and get it to probably somewhere in the 40s. Because when I got to Kraken 2, I think it was 34, which, you know, I'm looking at Joey, and he's only like 27, which is kind of low, at least for me. So, and then hopefully, like, with the higher, you know, amount of crit from the black belt, hopefully hit Tiamat.
And I think that's probably the best approach.